Space Marine 2 has a surprising level of variety when it comes to how the various classes play. Some are well rounded, while others are highly specialized, resulting in unique strengths at the cost of amplifying a specific weakness. The Heavy is one such specialized class. There are precious few better equipped to plant their feet in the ground, unleash a hellfire of hot lead, and pray your team has your back while you've got theirs. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we'll showcase our max level, max difficulty Heavy Devastator build that provides game-changing support to frontline focused teams. As dedicated fire support, the Heavy is most comfortable at mid to long range, utilizing incredibly hard-hitting weapons that truly shine when braced in your heavy stance. You're there to thin the horde, keep your squad mates' flanks covered, and apply pressure when the biggest enemies inevitably arrive. When the bullets and projectiles fly, your class ability, the Iron Halo, blocks all incoming ranged damage, keeping you and your allies that need to fall back safe for a few extra seconds. While Iron Halo is active, it also grants all squad members within 50 meters 10% damage resistance from all ranged attacks. Couple this with a few class perks that accelerate ability regeneration while active, and the Heavy is the perfect anchor point for almost any team composition. Now, like the Tactical, this build presents all three primary weapon options as viable. You may have to swap perks in your three core columns if you want to really min-max a specific weapon, but by and large, this will give you the foundation to push any difficulty with any weapon that you prefer. We'll talk about the Heavy Bolter, the Heavy Plasma Incinerator, and the Multi-Melta all within this guide, but to start, let's analyze our perks. The core section of the perk tree is where all perk changes will happen depending on the weapon equipped, and we'll make sure to talk about these first three columns in regards to a specific weapon choice first, before covering the remainder of the perk tree, which works for any weapon. For the Heavy Bolter, we'll be taking the following core perks. In column 1, we'll be taking Auxiliary Ammunition, as it is our single best option for sustaining our ammo economy for pretty much any weapon, especially the Heavy Bolter. This weapon can put out some serious DPS, thinning hordes, focusing down elites, and even rapidly depleting a boss's HP bar, but it's a weapon that really needs your allies to be drawing aggro. Since you're going to be laying down so many shots, being able to gain 20% reserved ammunition with rapid kills on your secondary helps keep you in the fight longer. In column 2, we're taking Thermal Boost. As soon as your ranged weapons become 50% overheated, your range damage goes up by 15%. Oftentimes, your weapon will begin overheating when trying to keep enemies from reaching you, so that becomes even easier once you hit that 50% threshold. For column 3, we take Versatility. This allows our secondary weapon to deal 20% more damage when swapping to it and lasts until you reload or switch back to your primary. This is great for stunning elites at a distance that are calling for reinforcements, or just when you get swarmed and are low on primary ammo. For the Heavy Plasma Incinerator, we still keep Auxiliary Ammunition in column 1 and Thermal Boost in column 2. When we get to column 3, we're taking Overcharge. Because the Heavy Plasma Incinerator has charge functionality to amplify its damage in AoE, this perk amps that charged attack by a massive 20%. It's super easy to maintain and really accelerates the potency of the weapon. Finally, for the Multi-Melta, you're going to be much closer to the action than the other weapons, and perks here need to reflect that. In column 1, we're taking Multi-Kill, which restores our Multi-Melta's ammo by 1 whenever a shot kills 5 or more enemies. As we all know, Meltas clear trash enemies incredibly easy, and given the extra range on the Multi-Melta, you can spam down groups of small enemies without worrying about wasting ammo. In column 2, because we are much closer to the action, we're taking Fortitude, which boosts our health by 20%. Finally, in column 3, we are reverting back to Versatility for that sweet secondary bonus damage. Because we have such a short range on the Multi-Melta, ensuring your secondary can stagger elites at a distance is essential. With those weapon-specific choices out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the perk tree, which can remain the same. For our team perk in column 4, Encompassing Aegis is just too good to pass up, providing a whopping 20% damage reduction to all damage from ranged attacks. Against Tyranids, this really helps against warriors with venom cannons and Termagants that spam their attacks against you. With Chaos, it helps even more, given the sheer volume of ranged weaponry you'll face within that enemy faction. For our first gear perk in column 5, we take Adamant Will. This one is pure survival. Since you'll basically use Iron Halo whenever it's off cooldown, every time that ability deactivates, you take 20% less health damage for 5 seconds. In a pinch, this coupled with Encompassing Aegis can make you really tanky. Our second perk in column 6 is Obdurate Bastion, which increases Iron Halo's durability by 20%. We personally value this perk because it allows Iron Halo to eat several high damaging ranged attacks, including those of the Venom Cannon or even the ranged attacks of the extremely annoying Zoanthrope. You could make a case for Power Regulator here once we talk about our signature perk, as this will make Iron Halo lose energy 15% more slowly, allowing it to stay up longer. That, of course, is a decision entirely up to you based on your playstyle. Our last gear perk in column 7 is Brute Force. Simply put, every time Iron Halo goes on cooldown, your range damage increases by 15%. Spam that ability and reap benefits whenever it's active or on cooldown. Finally, we get to our signature perk. We're really hoping the team goes back to the drawing board on the first two perk choices because offensive capability feels insanely weak, while the coolant reserve is actively rooting for your whole team to be incapacitated, which just feels bad. That leaves us with option 3, Conversion Field, which is actually surprisingly solid. This makes it so when Iron Halo is active, all squad members within a whopping 100 meters regenerate ability energy 50% faster. By faster, and yes, we did the testing, it's roughly 30% of an ability restored as long as your Iron Halo remains up for its full duration. This allows your entire team to use their abilities more frequently. The choices in this column are lackluster and not nearly providing as much as, say, the Vanguard or the Sniper, but it's still solid. Depending on your weapon choice, strength from your perks really comes online somewhere between level 6 and 12, which is arguably the earliest of any class since most perks are focused in the top row or slightly the second row. Now that we know the perks, let's identify the ideal weapon choices. For the Heavy Bolter, we're taking the bottom rightmost option once you hit Relic tier, the Ophelian Liberation Beta. While this weapon does feature 75 less rounds compared to the top row options, you get an extra point in firepower, and that really adds up once you start selecting perks. The difference this actually makes in being effective at clearing trash enemies and even damaging larger ones can't be understated. Yes, you will need to be more conscious of your ammo usage, but overall, you'll kill enemies much faster with less rounds. In terms of Heavy Bolter perks, well, here is the path we personally found most effective. Standout perks such as Perpetual Penetration allow you to penetrate one additional target, making this weapon chew through enemies that are clumped in a dense horde. Increased capacity juices up your ammo reserves, while both heavy might nodes give us a 30% total buff to our damage while in heavy stance. Finally, Discipline makes you deal 25% more damage when your ammo begins to get low, making that last chunk of rounds more effective when you need them the most. When it comes to the Heavy Plasma Incinerator, we'll be taking the top leftmost option, the Gathalamor Crusade Alpha, once you hit Relic tier. While this does have lower overall ammo, the venting speed hitting 5 means you can get off more shots before completely overheating, which is essential at higher difficulties for ensuring you deal as much alpha damage on a group of targets before they can move to engage you. In terms of heavy plasma perks, we take an alternating top and bottom approach. Rapid cooling is something we want to pick up early because if you manage to kill a whole group of at least 10 enemies off your first charged attack, you set yourself up for no heat generation for the next 5 seconds, allowing for substantial follow-up damage. Two real game-changer perks for this weapon also happen in the Master-Crafted tier. Plasma Collection boosts up our reserves by 20%, while Efficient Charge makes it so charge shots from plasma weapons use 2 less energy. It's not a massive difference in ammo consumption, but it's certainly enough to be noticeable over the course of a full mission. Both Supercharged Shot nodes amp our charge shot damage by 20%, while Retaliation makes us deal 25% more damage after a perfectly timed dodge. This makes the Heavy Plasma much more effective when jumped by elites. Finally, for the Multi-Melta, we take the top left option once in the Relic tier, the Gathalamor Crusade. While it does have lower magazine capacity and a lower rate of fire, it clocks in at 4 range, which for this weapon is actually a significant distance increase before the damage falls off. Now this weapon fires really slow when hip-fired, but fires fast enough to keep up a permanent stagger on elites when in heavy stance. We also can't be 100% certain, but the range also seems to increase when in heavy stance, and if that is in fact the case, understanding which stance to dance between is essential to success with this weapon. For our perk tree, we're going to keep this incredibly simple. You'll take all nodes along the top row and one fast regeneration node at the bottom if you find yourself struggling a bit with maintaining your armor in combat. When you're spamming down trash mobs, this can make armor regeneration start within a couple of seconds, which can be game-changing depending on your playstyle. You can forego the Tyrannid Eliminator perk at the end, as I normally recommend that extra 10% damage, but the armor restoration is just too good to pass up with this weapon. The main highlighted perks of this path, however, are Elite Restoration, restoring 10% of your maximum ammo reserves upon killing a Majoris level or higher enemy, essential for maintaining your ammo economy with the weapon. Heavy Immunity lets you hold a breach without getting knocked down in heavy stance, and Death Strike allows you to execute a Majoris level enemy or higher and amp your damage by 25% for 5 seconds, which can help you finish off a dense horde of elites. Last up, let's talk about the secondary weapon, as the Heavy has no melee options available. We're taking the Plasma Pistol, specifically the Ophelian Liberation variant on the top right of the Relic tier. The Plasma Pistol helps us deal with pesky elites that get too close with its charged up functionality, and as a result, we want the Plasma Pistol with the largest overall magazine capacity. Additionally, because of that versatility perk, the sidearm is getting a flat 20% damage buff almost exclusively. This helps you easily stun an elite calling for reinforcements at range with a single charge shot, so it is an invaluable tool in making the Heavy a bit more flexible within a team. For our perk tree, we're keeping things simple. Go straight across the bottom, opting for increases to damage, energy reserves, and charge shot cost to make our weapon much more efficient to use. Instead of the final perk, instead grab one of the perpetual velocity nodes for a 20% increase to the charge rate of our charged shots. This becomes incredibly noticeable and allows you to effectively keep an elite infinitely staggered with rapidly charged shots. So how do you actually play the Heavy? Your goal, as I've mentioned previously, is to keep the aggro off of you, very similar to the Sniper. This is a bit more difficult because you don't have the aggro drop of the Sniper class, and your Iron Halo only provides you temporary relief from range damage in the front of you. Because of this, positioning with the class is the most important thing you can get good at, placing yourself in view of enemy spawns and choke points while being conscious of the areas you can safely turn your back to. For every heavy weapon, you also have to be actively aware of your ammo reserves. You have a lot, but you can't drain those weapons quicker than you think if you're constantly going full auto or always charging your shots for every target you see. The higher difficulties will toss a ton of enemies at you, and if you're transitioning from choke point to choke point, getting confident with your counters, both telegraphed and non-telegraphed, as well as when to use your heavy stop to create some room, is key to being a successful heavy player. The Plasma Pistol is also an essential tool, more so than other classes, because it lets you soften up and stun elite targets quickly that would otherwise take a solid chunk of your primary ammunition. Behind your team is where you want to be, keeping them from getting surrounded, thereby making it so all three of you need to only focus your attention forward at the oncoming horde. Frag grenades are perfect for pesky elites that get too close to you or your allies, while frag grenades are likely your go-to choice here in order to keep the dense horde of trash mobs from swarming you should any slip by your heavy weapons. So there you have it, a build guide we guarantee will help you shred more than your fair share of Terminids when Space Marine 2 launches on September 9th. Though things may change after launch, with over 300 hours of combined gameplay across the preview and early access, we are confident that this build can tackle the toughest content in the game with whatever weapon you decide to use. Our team has been working tirelessly to bring you day one build guides of every class, so if you like our work and you want to support the channel, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.